U.S. intelligence officials are warning of an al-Qaeda October surprise attack, an attempt, they say, to possibly influence our upcoming elections. This comes after two major terrorist attacks back-to-back in Pakistan and Yemen, and after intercepting a series of messages from al-Qaeda's leaders telling its followers to prepare for more instructions. Authorities say U.S. bases and our allies overseas could be possible targets. So how serious is this warning this time around? Former CIA agent Gary Bernstein just got back from Afghanistan. He's the author of the new book, The Walk-In. Gary, welcome. Always good to talk to you.
Nice seeing you again, Martha.
You know, a lot of folks might hear that intro and say, oh, you know, they're just trying to scare us again. This is what happens. Before every election we hear that something like this might happen. Is there intelligence that you think substantiates that concern?
Well, there's historical precedents where you had the al-Qaeda doing an attack on, the Spanish back on the 11th of March in 2004.
And boy, that sure worked in their favor, didn't it?
Well, of course. But, the thing is that such an attack in the United States wouldn't benefit either political party here, and all Americans are, united in their effort to block such an attack and defeat al-Qaeda. The more likely scenario would be they would be trying to attack some of our allies and trying to peel them off from the coalition that George Bush has built to defeat them.
And what areas are you particularly worried about?
Well, I think that, you have to go back to Europe because there's a large number of al-Qaeda in Europe, probably more in London than any other place. But, we've had a growth of these guys back in Latin America again. Before we had a problem in the tri-border area, which is where Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil meet. And we've had attacks that were launched there. That was Hezbollah in those days. But, with the movement to the left in Latin America, there's less cooperation. And, this is a problem for the U.S.
When you talk about an attack on the military, U.S. allies abroad, does that mean that al-Qaeda is not in a position to attack us here at home, in your opinion?
I think that, it's kind of amazing. 7 years ago, we never would have thought that we would have gone this long and would have been able to avoid an additional catastrophic attack in the U.S. It says a lot for what President Bush has done to defend the U.S. I know a lot of people don't like the Patriot Act. They don't like some of the things he's done, but they've been effective. The real argument now is how do we move forward, on this? And we're in an election year, and you've got Senator Obama, who's looking very, very focused on Afghanistan, and Senator McCain, who I happen to support, and I'm a veterans leader for him in New York, who's looking at a more broad approach to dealing with al-Qaeda globally.
And what kind of broad approach would you like to see in Latin America? I mean, what is our intelligence like in Latin America? How, sort of beefed up are we and ready to deal with a situation that might crop up there?
We have a dual-track problem there. There's an assault on democracy in Latin America. You've got countries like Venezuela and Bolivia. The Bolivians just PNG'd our ambassador. Venezuela's PNG'd our ambassador. You've had the Bolivians have just kicked out the Drug Enforcement Agency there. These people are aligning themselves with the Iranians. You've got Russian, military exercises jointly with the Venezuelans. So that you're not going to get the level of cooperation that we had in the past. So, we're going to have to go ahead and push for the re-democratization of Latin America. Senator McCain has talked about this. He's talked about having a broad alliance of democratic nations, and it goes back to fundamentals. It goes back to good governance, democracy, and a shared effort to fight against extremism. And it's a global issue. This isn't just based on Afghanistan. I know we're all looking at it at Afghanistan now, and I'm sort of Afghan-centric, having served there multiple times, but it goes beyond there, and also holding Iraq.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I mean, we really do have to look at some of these other trouble spots in the world because it's, I feel like it's rarely the place that you think it's going to come from, that these kind of things crop up, and there could be something brewing in another place. We have to keep our eyes wide open. Gary Bernstein, thank you very much. Always enlightening to talk to you.
It's always great to be with you, Martha.
Take care.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too.